Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I'm Johnny B.
I am James Workshop.
And I am IDICBeer.
But together we are
Modeling Wow, that was
excellent,
one of the best ones yet, wasn't it? A quick catch up with everybody who's in the channel. Rosie Raccoon is here, fluffing the boys before the show. Thank you, Rosie. Good evening. Axe and Axe got to work, but he's going to catch it later. Always good. Josh is here. Good evening. Hey, Rosie. Hope you're well. Bunting. And then E.S. Taylor. Supply points for very British Civil War campaign using Pulp Alley rules. Interesting. Very British Civil War. I might just put that on my list. We can talk about it later.
No, not another game.
Am I the only person in the room who knows what that is?
Yes.
Yeah. Who else we got? Josh, yeah. E.S. Taylor, already mentioned. Just catching up with who's here. Well spelt there, E.S. Taylor. I like it. Team Clueless Games. Good evening, mate. How you doing? Scrolling. Subcommandante 73, the man with my favorite thumbnail. Alacrity P. Howdy all. Live show always helps me through a Tuesday afternoon at work. Friends of General Haig, good evening, sir. Tony Halton is here. Solver UK. Tech Saint. And Roxy the Riveter. I haven't seen anything from you for ages, Roxy. I thought you might have died of COVID or something. Good to know that you're all right. It's nice to see you. Just as a warning, Roxy, my wife does watch the show also, allegedly. So no flirting, please. Thank you. All right. So what are we all up to tonight? I am going to be building a Cromwell for Johnny B's Flames of War army, or shaving the flash off some British artillery crew, because he can't paint figures for his own army. Does it get me to do, and then complains about the quality.
This is true.
Awesome.
What am I doing tonight? I am doing some terrain, doing some hedges for my own collection. I've got many other things in front of me that I may dip into, but who knows? James, what are you on tonight?
Hello. To pay tribute to our fine guest, I'm going to do some finishing pieces on some Necrons I've had for a little while.
Yes!
Oh, Scorpion Destroyers.
Yeah. So I got the full pack, 2 little boys and 1 with his big chopper. Final details. What are you up to this evening, Mr. IDICBeer Nick?
Me, I'm being very lazy. I'm doing nothing. I'm going to sit here and drink my beer and just watch you guys slave away. The main reason is I've literally just finished a big project and I'm having a couple of days rest before I crack on with the next one. I always like to do that, to have just a couple of days where I don't have to do any hobby, just refresh and then get cracking with the next one. Yeah,
sounds very healthy.
Should also hear if there are some very strange noises, squeaky noises through the show. Nick, do you want to show them the source of the squeaky noise? Are you able to do that?
I can try. Here we go.
It's the best thing ever.
He's just run into his house.
All right.
All right. He's got a mini
gremlin. Imagine a gremlin, and that's what it is. It's a guinea pig.
So anyway, you can shut up now, Kaiser. It's my turn. You wouldn't believe it. Now, I'm going to ask this man a question, and it's going to be, who's your daddy, and what does he do? Which means, who are you, and tell us about your channel.
All right, okay. My name is Nick, and I'm from the channel IDICBeer 40k, Necrons and more. And yeah, primarily my channel is about Necrons, although I do other stuff as well. I've actually got 6 armies and cover them sometimes on the channel, but primarily Necrons. Yes.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it.
All in the name. True fact.
Because we're like, educated, normal human beings, and completely overlook the fact that the football is on tonight, and actually quite a lot of people probably want to watch that. It's quite an important game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even I
it's not though. It's not. We're already through to the knockout round. Tonight's game is just to see what position we take. Who even cares about football? Eh? It's just dudes kicking balls Oh, actually, yeah.
Dude's kicking balls, mate. Ooh. Oosh. Right then, so I've got some things down here. So, Nick, then, if I may call you Nick, obviously you have your channel, you do Necrons and more. I'm not sure about all of your armies. I've seen you painting some Slanesh stuff, but I thought we might start by talking about the IDICBeer Wargamers Unification Group, because it's such an amazing thing that you're doing there, and I really mean that. When I started this channel, just doing a terrible unboxing with my little sausage fingers on an iPad with my wife holding it in front of me or propped up against some books. My channel, like so many, my first 50 viewers, after I got my mom to sign up and, you know, the wife and so forth, that was where my channel first started gaining some traction. So tell us a little bit about the history of that, if you don't mind, Nick. What made you start that off? Because I think it does have a history, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So obviously I've been doing YouTube now for quite some time. I mean, I started in 2009, so 12 years. And obviously you put a lot of effort into your videos, and you know, you want to try and get them viewed, basically get them seen. And obviously I had the usual struggles of running the channel and, you know, not getting too many views. I mean, in the first year on YouTube, I think I gained like 85 subscribers, you know, in a year. Obviously things were different back then. And then of course we had social media platforms where we could share our videos. And one thing that I noticed is in many Facebook groups in particular, there was a bit of a negative feedback for people sharing their videos, you know, their content. And I thought I wanted to create a page where you could go on there and you could share your stuff, and everyone is there to share, basically. You know, sort of no real rules apart from obviously being, you know, polite and friendly, etc. So that was my initial idea, but it soon turned very quickly. Within probably about a week, it turned into something totally different, and it was more about sort of, like a support network, really, for all wargaming YouTube channels. Not just, I mean, my channel is 40k based, but not just 40k. Any wargaming type. So if you do historical or, you know, Blood Bowl or whatever your game is, you can go in there, you can share your links. But it's not only just about sharing videos. You know, we get people on there sharing all of their, you know, their artwork for, you know, their painting, etc. So it's just a nice positive place where you can find, you know, other content creators, find new channels to watch. And yeah, that's it. We've got, I think, 1,600 members at the moment. So
wow,
yes, it's been going quite well.
That's good.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember when I started, and within weeks, I don't even think I'd got to a month before I'd roped John into helping with some of the videos. I don't remember how long it was, but you know, when you're starting and you're trying to get some traction and you watch some videos about how to promote your videos and they talk about other social media. And so I started going to Facebook groups and posting videos. And like you said, there's some really, really toxic experiences to be had out there. If you just post, you know, especially when you're starting. So, you know, what you realize now, which you didn't realize then when you started, is what you produce is crap.
Yeah.
Look at it now and it's like, that was definitely crap, man. I can't believe I wanted to share that. But people say it have been absolutely horrible, including just making personal attacks, like about how I look and things like that through the Facebook. And it was really quite hard. So creating a sort of a friendly and welcoming space where you're invited to do that. I mean, you say something, I think, in the... Go on.
Yeah, it's just encouraging for you to keep going as well. I mean, if you share your video in the group, and if you get quite a few people on board, you might gain a few subs, and that's, oh wow, you know, I gained like 20 subs today, you know, from sharing that video in the group. And it's like, okay, and now I want to make another one. And it's just like encouraging people to share their love of the hobby, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really good. And if you're thinking about getting started in YouTube, you absolutely want to get involved in that. I mean, to be fair, these days there's so much. I wouldn't expect to put a video up and get 20 subs from it these days, because there's just so much in there. But you will find people who like what you do, who will comment on your videos, who will, you know, and all.
Well, I think that's. Yeah, sorry. I think that's the key thing, though. When you first join and you're a new channel, it's slightly different than us who've been there for a few years, just sharing our videos. When you first join the group, well, you know, we could do, if you do like an introduction post, like, you know, I've just joined, this is my channel. You'll find that more people will obviously jump on board and like try to support you. And sometimes I'll do like a pinned post with a certain channel as well.
Yeah,
just having somewhere you can go and just be sure that you can get some feedback that isn't just like 9 comments of hate and 1 comment of critical feedback.
Yeah.
Talking of critical feedback, what is that?
It's definitely feedback from somewhere.
Is it me?
Can everyone try muting themselves? All right, James, if you unmute. It's you, James.
Is it me?
I think so. Do you want to reconnect? Because that's not going to go away.
Whoa!
I've just temporarily muted James. Can you unmute yourself when you're back?
My ears are bleeding.
No, it's still happening. Still happening, James. Boo!
Sign language.
Chilling Wargamers says, "Hey up, boys, just popping in for a little while before snoozing. Good evening, mate. I assume that is the squad." So, getting started. So, should we talk a little bit about Warhammer then, and what's going on in the news? So, big news for Warhammer people, for those that are interested, is Warhammer TV, or are they calling it Warhammer Plus?
I think so. The one where they're putting all their TV shows and whatnot.
All their TV shows. So this is going to be a subscription service, and we know of maybe 4 or 5 different shows in the short and the longer term.
Yeah.
Right? Some animations, some cartoons, and allegedly some kind of eyes and horns serial, but that seems like a much longer timescale for production.
Serial.
And they're going to do this as a subscription service. That troubles me enormously, because it doesn't sound like to me there's nearly enough content for me to not consume that in a weekend. And that's their plan for what they're going to produce.
But you get to watch it over and over again as often as you like.
Yes, I guess
if it's any good the first time round, really.
It's true.
So, does anybody know any more than that? Does anybody get any thoughts on that? Nick, you're a very well-informed man in the 40k world. Is what I just said, broadly speaking, what's happening?
As far as I'm aware, yes. It's not something that I will be signing up to. I don't really have that much interest in watching the stuff that they're going to have on there anyway, to be fair. So I certainly won't be paying for anything. Yeah.
Wasn't there a Necron thing? What was that for?
Was there? Sign me up.
Oh no, I lied. No, I'm thinking of the trailer for Indomitus or something. What was it? Yeah, that was awesome. Why haven't they got more of that? Necrons in that were cool.
They were cool, but they did die very quick though, didn't they?
Yeah, but the camera pans and then they get back up, so it's all good.
Okay.
They made their 5-ups, don't you worry.
I really want to be excited about this, but it's the subscription thing, man. And as you say, I can't imagine they're going to have a massive library of content to set out with. So, you know, all depends what they're charging. If they're charging £1, I might go for it, but if it's £5
every
a
time
month.
previously where they've given like a subscription service, or like pay $4.99 a month for this, the first 6 months is about 10% of the stuff they promised. So I've got no idea what they're even going to turn up with.
Yeah, true.
We'll have to wait and watch and see.
So they've got form with subscription services, have they? I mean, apart from the app they have that doesn't work allegedly.
That's the one.
That's the only thing I can think of. The app, which was shocking, and the White Dwarf, right?
Right. So, yeah, because I mean, you know, there are comparisons out there, aren't there? There are companies that don't produce an enormous amount of content themselves annually that have streaming services. For example, Disney. But these are super mega enormous media companies that have bought other people's stuff to put on the platform. Games Workshop is very, very big for a hobby company, but it's not like going to be able to go and buy other people's shows to put on its platform, is it? I'm assuming no. So what else could it be? What could they do to make it worthwhile? And I don't know how difficult it is for them to judge with stuff like this. I certainly remember people were all over the internet before the Warhammer brought out its own app, was saying, oh, look, if you just put all the codexes on, you know, on an app for me and I have to pay £5 a month for it, I'm in. People would say that quite openly. And now they've tried to do that. Nobody wants it. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's paying for it. So you're like, whoa, this isn't quite what I'd hoped for, or whatever. But I suppose one of the things they might include is that. They might tie you in with the app.
If they do an Amazon Prime kind of service where it's like you pay $5 a month, we'll give you free postage on a bunch of stuff, like we'll give you Prime postage, and if they do that kind of thing, I can kind of see it, but frankly, I don't order anything from Games Workshop anymore anyway, not to be rude to them, it's normally third parties, so.
Interesting fact, our old friend Sub-Commandant just said perhaps they'll put all the news and all the previews and stuff on there behind the paywall.
Well, perhaps they'll put White Dwarf in with that.
Yeah. Warhammer gated community.
You're paying an annual subscription to be a Warhammer nerdling or whatever, and you get your copy of White Dwarf, and you get to watch their movies, and you get their app, and it's all tied in with a single subscription, or maybe they're extras on top of the subscription, but this is like part of the free service or whatever that comes with subscribing on some level as a Warhammer person. And I think that's probably the way to go, because individually these things don't seem worth the money. But I think they do a lot better just charging you $5 to watch the movie than asking you to subscribe to something.
Yeah, they do a hell of a lot better putting it on Amazon and charging you $3.99 a rental, I think. That rather than trying to ask you to pay for that.
Yeah. They like to have full control, though, don't they? That's the thing. They do. They want it all for themselves.
And that whole idea of like signing up to another platform is something I deeply resent every time I have to do that. Every time somebody else out there wants to know my mother's maiden name and my home address and my date of birth just to sell me something. I'm like, mate, we've moved on from this. Tie it in with Google or something. Why am I have to give you these credentials again? I don't like giving them out. But I'm really funny about that, I know. But it just feels like even for anybody, it's another step. Whereas they just click and buy button, download to my phone or whatever.
That's just the way of the world now, man. You gotta sign up for everything.
Yeah. Just going through the comments.
Your information is part of the transaction. You know that, right?
Yeah, man.
Exactly. I think that's the Stingray base behind him. If there's an alert, those buildings will sink. They're talking about Nick there. That'd be amazing.
Awesome.
That would be awesome. It reminds me of the hangover I once had. Yeah, I'm way behind with the comments now. Disney Plus Space Marine twice is expensive. Yeah, absolutely. Ice Wolf, no more ways that GW is taking our money. Yeah. At £10 a model, they're already doing it, right? There's nothing left after that. Oh, Chilling Wargamers is giving us some money. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you for that, Spud.
Oh,
so £10 a model. When was the last model you bought?
That was the heavy intercessors recently. They're just troops, man, and they're £10 each.
I was watching your oh god, Chronomancer video on the way back, Nick. And you casually, I like how you were like, the last one I bought was £21 and was a single sprue. This one is £23 and you get 2 sprues. It's like, that is money. That's value for money there.
And that's good value for money, right?
Exactly. £2 for an extra sprue. That's a bonus, mate. Yeah, I did see that. That was kind of
We've just
funny.
been doing some unboxings of these. Perry twins, they used to work for Games Workshop. 38 miniatures, 20 quid, 50 pence a figure.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really complain about that, can you?
You know, and that they're not exactly minted. They don't have a massive product range and an international reach or anything, and they can make money at 50 pence a figure. What was Frost and Fist in there, Brother Mythos? Can you imagine it? The old Disney Channel intros. This is IDICBeer 40k, and you're watching the Warhammer channel. Right, okay. Well, that didn't spark a lot of interest. That was a bit disappointing. I thought you'd have things to say, boys. So
I think we're just apathetic at this point to Warhammer, constantly releasing something new. I have absolute hype burnout at this point. It's just gone.
I'm not hyped for it. You know, I watched I started because the other thing that they've done is that they've bought up all of the competitive talent, haven't they? So like the Astartes guys and several other people who've done things on YouTube or other platforms that the community have enjoyed. They just paid them off.
Well, yeah, we'd like to think they've just, accumulated the.
I think when you're making something like that, your end goal is that one day Games Workshop is going to look at you and say, "I want to buy that."
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they kind of got what they wanted, really.
I mean, I hope so. But a guy who spends his spare evenings in his bedroom putting a Space Marine video together that millions of people have enjoyed, not millions, but certainly tens of thousands of people have enjoyed and watched over. But what kind of role at Games Workshop does he have? Because it's not going to be like artistic direction, is it? They have a really clear vision of how they want all of that stuff to look. Is he now just a grunt, just coding the Space Marine walk? Do you know what? Do you know what I mean?
Waiting 6 months until he gets laid off, kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm not. I think what that Astartes guy did was really good. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But I just worry about that as much as at the moment. Like, then I'm working for Games Workshop. That's marketing. They've paid this guy, so he brings all of that hype train with him. But what kind of job really have they given him?
Makes tea now.
Well, if they're just paying him to sit in the room and make more of it, then brilliant. But I suspect that's not what they want. They want to use that in other things, don't they? So coming in July, so far as I can see, things that are exciting for those of you that are excited about these things. That the Orc box is allegedly coming in July, so far as I hear. From Bolt Action, the new Japanese star, which we've talked about before. We're quite excited about that, aren't we, John? You've been made them Marines already.
Yeah, they're all looking wonderfully grey, and I've built them as a whole unit.
Disjointed.
So they're still on sprue, so I can move them around easier on the table.
Easier, still on sprue. Yeah, how can kids afford Games Workshop? I struggle and I work full time. Kids get more pocket money than I used to. I think, someone who works in a school, the reality of it is really sad. Actually, is it kids that don't have a great deal of money want to get into Warhammer, and what happens is birthdays and Christmas go into Warhammer. Those kids, they don't get bikes and consoles. They start collecting Space Marines, and the tragedy is that for a lot of them, there's a really high burnout rate. There's a lot of them. They commit a couple of birthdays and a Christmas to it, and at 14, they're not that interested in it anymore. Nah, that's quite sad. Catching up with these. So we've got that coming out, and then
we need to get some terrain built for that. Going back to that island assault thing, if we're going to do that,
do we,
John? We need. Yes, I got my jungle trees back.
Should we have a look at John's pictures? This is what it's alluding to. Should we have a look at John's pictures? No, we're going to have a look at your pictures.
Go on. No,
we're going to get going, John. All right, calm down.
Do it.
Pictures. All right. So can we all see this?
Ooh.
There we go. Tell the people what they're looking at here, John.
Right. So this is the second of the Celtic houses from the Hovel range. You may or may not have seen one on our SPQR video. This is the second one. Hurrah! And there's something else to go with it, which is a little doofer.
I didn't break that picture.
Oh, right. Well, there's another one as well, so that's awesome.
There's another one, yeah. All right. And what about this turd?
What have you laid down on that piece of newspaper?
What is that?
So,
and why you sent a picture of it in?
At work, when we're blowing wind over sections of London or wherever, if there's shrubberies around, we use this stuff. Not looking like that, of course. It's just black sort of foam, which is actually part of a filter system, but it works really well. And we cut it to shape, and it just basically breaks up the wind as it travels towards the target building. And I took an offcut and thought, oh, I'm going to make some real hedges. So I did. It didn't look like that. That's got extra bits on it. So that's a slightly upgraded turd. Before, it just looked like the green thing in the back. It was
mint
just
turd, mint cucumber.
Mint turd.
God.
It's a sea cucumber. I mean,
It's very...
But I'm quite happy with them. They look very old school, mind you.
They don't look remotely old school, John.
Oh, yeah,
this
definitely.
Is the thing that John does, though, is because John is in eternal conflict with me. Like, is he gets an idea into his head and said, John, that's not going to work. It's not as good as what we've already got. It's crap or whatever. And he gets like really, really like stuck in that as like, right, I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to prove him wrong. And he keeps going and keeps going. And that's why I end up with crap like this. And then when I'm not looking, and he's building a terrain for a game that we're playing on camera, he sneaks it in there towards the back of the board.
I just had the best comment ever. You need to look. Roxy de Rivet says, my dog makes shrubbery like that.
You probably need to work on its diet, Roxy.
Oh, dear.
We have hedges. They're
Good
not
ones.
great. The hedges that we have now, they're starting to look. They look good for the standards that we were working on at the time.
Yeah.
Now when you look at the stuff that we're using, they're not up to the standard of the rest of the kind of board. Having a rethink, but this is definitely not better. This is not.
I personally think it is.
No, you don't, John. You want it to be true.
It's beautiful. And even if we don't use it for MFA, I will be gladly using it forever in my...
I mean, there's 4 of us here. Let's take a vote. I think it looks like a green dog turd. In fact, I'm colorblind. I think it just looks like a turd.
You can't see the green. Oh,
please, Nick, would you like to chime in on?
I think it looks a bit like a sleeping dragon.
I like that. Thank you, Nick. That's
yeah,
very kind of
okay,
you.
that is... So what I'm hearing is also not a hedge. Good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
not a hedge. Yeah.
Different question, Nick. Next time you do a Warhammer video, are you happy to have that as a piece of scenery on your board?
I don't think it would match my Necron table very well.
That's a no then.
Oh.
Right then, look at that.
Oh, hey.
There you go. This is also, as James is putting some Scorpec destroyers together. This is a Proto Necron. Look at that, painted with MFA colours. Because we thought about doing a Necron army for the
Chaos
channel.
robots? Were they Chaos
Chaos
robots?
Android.
Yeah, Chaos robots. Yeah.
Nice.
Old
Very
school.
cool.
We love that. So we did one, and I was using these as a palette.
Yes, Roxy, literally.
Oh dear. Yes.
Quick bit like that. If you're still doing YouTube, Roxy, we have to get you on the show at some point. You can rip into John.
Yeah,
it's great fun.
One of the best turds I've seen. Thank you, Roxy. You're most kind.
So, John, this and I think there's more here. Look, Necrons and more Necrons. So,
yeah, it's just,
was it Chaos Androids? For anyone that doesn't know, where are these from?
Another one of the, I think MB Games made it as well. Space Crusade.
Space Crusade, yeah.
Crusade. Yeah.
Back in the day, that was an awesome game. Yeah, and these were Chaos androids, but essentially Proto Necrons. You get Dreadnought as well, which is awesome. There's another game that I hope to paint up and play by myself in a dark room with my turd hedges surrounding me sometime.
That game came with space goblins as well, didn't it? Before they were
like really goony, like they're really stupid turkey.
One of the many dirty Gretchen models that we've had is probably more accurate. Yeah.
It's Alien Planet Shrubbery. That's why
the orcs had quilted puffer jackets in that as well. I think they're really,
yes, they did.
Really,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Quilted. So, Nick, this is pre-Necron then.
It is, yeah.
What was do you know anything about the kind of evolution from this model to first?
Yeah, funny enough, whilst we last year had obviously all the Necron releases, the Warhammer community website posted like a history of Necrons, and I made a whole video like going through everything, sharing my experience with it as well. But yeah, this is basically just before, obviously. Yeah, after this, it was Necron Raiders, that came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Subcommandante 73. I just checked Google Translate, and bocage is a French word for turd.
Nailed it.
It includes 40K. I love Space Crusade. He'll play it with you. I think if you would like to have Johnny B's Space Crusade progress featured in one of these episodes in detail, let's see the Space Crusade up there in the comments, and we'll get him to dig out what he's got and show you the collection. Space Crusade in the comments if you want more on that in the future. There you go, John. You're committed now.
Buddy.
It's cool looking. Yeah, absolutely. So, and then this.
Oh yeah. I did the little last week. We had the Spearman dwarf that I randomly did. It's one of the North Star miniatures. My mind is gone. One of the Oathmark dude bros. So I'm using that for Hero Quest mainly, or any sort of questy game, and this is going to be an alternate wizard for Hero Quest. So I'm playing through with Laura at the moment, and if the standard wizard dies, then he's got an option of using a dwarf wizard. Why not? Something different.
Very nice. For anyone that doesn't know, Laura is a friend of Johnny B's. He's a bent copper and they go dogging together.
True fact.
Basically the gist of it. Isn't that right, Rosie? So that's that. So Oathmark's come up then. I've been looking at Oathmark a bit this week. Anybody else looked at Oathmark at all?
Not even slightly. Explain it to me, and I might buy in like I do with everything else.
So, Oathmark rank and flank game. So, he's got model removal, and it's by the guy that's done Frostgrave and Stargrave. So, these are things that I'm not normally all that interested in. Because I found it wasn't that I didn't like the idea of Frostgrave. Frostgrave I felt was like Gaslands. It's like loads of people really bought into the idea, but I saw very little of it actually played.
Yeah.
I think the kind of modeling and the team building aspect of it, people were really interested in, but it wasn't that great a game. But this is not his first rodeo. So I had a bit of a look at some people playing it, and it looks like a very, very quick play fantasy rank and flank game, and I really, really like that idea. It doesn't have a close rolling like Frostgrave. Units have fixed frontages, which simplifies the combat mechanisms. So they might be bigger, they might be deeper, but they're all set at 5 models wide. You throw 5 dice when you attack, and you get a bonus for ranks. It's like, John, what's up?
No, somebody said they make different color hedges. No, they don't.
What?
I'm looking at the comments.
Who make different color hedges? What?
Josh Wood commented they make different color hedges.
No,
smiley face in the comments. Carry on.
No, I'm seeing the comment. I'm just not getting at what that is to do with anymore. I'm thrown.
Oathmark. It's kind of like other things, but with ranks.
Simplified Whammer is it anything like the Mantic Games one? Because that's proper simplified.
No, so it's not like the Mantic Games one in that it's got casualty removal.
Because Mantic doesn't.
And it seems to be on a smaller scale. Seems to be from what I've seen, 50 models seems like about right. And so I thought if we use movement trays, 25mm rounds on those. Now that isn't their recommended base sizing, but we're all part of the same gaming cadre. That makes these figures very interchangeable with other things,
which is good. And I'm liking the thought of that.
Yeah, it's one of the areas we need. So we need to agree on movement tray sizes and things. But
already there, mate. Already there.
Yeah, mate.
Charlie Fox.
So what is it? Historic fantasy? What is it?
Oh, sorry, it's fantasy. Yeah, it's high fantasy without gunpowder. It's also got like with a lot of his other games, it's got the idea of it's got a loose campaign system. So you've got some reason and some development through the connectivity of the battles, and the idea is, I think you kind of have an estate from which you draw your troops. But if I beat you up, I can get access to some of your territory and use some of your troops, or your troops might be weaker in the next battle if they're recruited from that area. But at a very, very simplified level. But it doesn't have that like you're playing an orc army, all of your units are orcs, these are the 5 orc units. It's much more this idea that you decide which 5 units are in your starter army, and that's the different territories you have in your kingdom. So I might have goblin archers and elf spearmen and so forth. Yeah,
man, it's cool.
James is very confused.
I'm very confused. That's okay. I'll need a rulebook in front of me before I understand. It's okay.
Sounds quite free as to what you can build as armies.
Nick,
are you gonna? Does Nick do any other games? Do you do any other games, Nick?
I try to avoid it, to be fair, but I do play a few other games, but mainly it's games that my buddy owns. That when we don't want to play 40k, I like join in. So we play Man of War. If you remember that,
you got Man of War.
You've got Man of War.
Oh yeah, my buddy's crazy on it. It's his favourite game, and I actually really enjoy it. I always play his Dark Elf army when I play.
I bet they're I never got to play Man of War. It was one of those sort of peripheral games when I was a youngster.
It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, and what I love about that game is the focus really isn't on. The way we play it anyway, we don't play missions or anything. We just line the boats up and we just charge forward and shoot each other. And by the end of the game, it's like 3 boats left, like half sunk. And it's like, okay, that's a great game. And we don't even work out who won or anything.
Don't need to.
You just play. Yeah. So I do enjoy playing that. And I think he's got every fleet apart from one. There's one fleet he hasn't got. So we swap and change that, and I play Star Trek Attack Wing as well.
Is that because you like it, or because you're a massive Star Trek fan?
I'm a massive Star Trek fan, which means I do like playing it. But when it's slightly different to 40k, when we play Attack Wing with my buddy. With 40k, I'm the one there sort of playing slightly more competitive type lists, and my buddy just turns up with his Blood Angels and just plays for fun. So when we play Attack Wing, it's the opposite way round. I play like a more themed list, so I do not believe in cross faction. So it's like, why have you got Picard, on the Voyager ship? That just wouldn't happen.
Oh, that's your idea of cross faction.
Madness.
But he plays like ultra competitive. He'll take like this guy from that one and this guy from that one. His ships will be like almost not worth shooting because they're like so good. And I just rock up. I'm playing Janeway's ship, so I've got to have Tuvok on there, and I've got to have I don't really care about the rules. It's just got to be right. So it's quite fun when we play that. The only other game which we play would be Blood Bowl as well. You can't go wrong with Blood Bowl. I have to be honest. I don't like it that much.
Oh,
I know. I play it because my buddy enjoys it, so I give him a game. But for me, I when I play Blood Bowl, it's like all I want to do is just get the board and try to score. But the game's not really. It's not really about that, is it? It's about like no. Yeah,
right.
I don't quite get it. It's not.
Well, it is for me because I'm the kind of person who just plays pure combat armies. Like I want to get that ball over there, but that's not how you're meant to play it. I've played a lot more halves of Blood Bowl than I've played games of Blood Bowl because it's about 2 hours in and you're like, okay, I think I'm good for the moment, thanks. But I still enjoy the game. So
it's very dependent on the team you use. Anyways, thank you, Nick, for filling us in there. It's good to hear there's a bit of Man of War still being played. But look at this mighty artwork that you see before you. Can you fill us in, Kaiser? What is this all about?
Well, two things that this is about. One was to go back to talking a little bit about SPQR because we had a video out recently. We talk about it a little bit because we didn't talk about it after the video in the video.
No, we didn't.
So a couple of things about it. One, we'll talk about SPQR like as a game in a second. But one of the things that we're trying to do in terms of improving the production values of our videos is to get more kind of widgets and things to not so much to animate them but to decorate them. And so Charlotte, who did like the emojis for us and some other illustrations, and she's sometimes done some videos on work she's done for herself, I got her to do us some soldiers.
Yeah.
So she originally
he's having a fit. Because she did the emojis that you have when you become a paid member now.
And if you go back to our lockdown videos, she did a couple little sections in that as well on themes, didn't she?
Elf Queen, Ice Queen.
The dude with the mask where she splooshed all the ink on and thought it was going to go weird, but it came out really well.
He's got talent.
So this one she actually did for Mortal Gods, which is why he's a great looking dude. So what we're using these for is like one of the things that we've done is we added like the deploy, as we break the video down into different sections, the deployment phase and the mission and the end of the rounds, was to get different illustrations to decorate them. And the other thing that we've been doing, if you watch some of our newer videos, when we bring up a complicated rule or an unusual rule or bit of equipment or whatever, we've been putting little like unit cards and things like that in. And we haven't actually had much feedback on that. And I was curious to know if anyone who watched any of that, so the recent ball action videos or the SPQR video, they've got those in. I'd be really interested to know how people feel about them, whether they like them or not. SPQR, SPQR and Mortal Gods, which would you buy? Well,
it depends what you're after. I think SPQR is a little more involved. Mortal Gods is a bit more splashy and fun, as far as I can tell. I've only played one of the two. But Mortal Gods I got into very quickly, and like all the cards were in the box. You could just play it straight away as soon as you had a few models on the table. So it really depends what you're after.
Thanks for that, Josh. So SPQR was an interesting one, which was worth talking about, because John and I, the video that you saw, was that our third or our fourth playthrough of that game?
I think that must have been the one that we actually filmed. Must have been. It was the third of that mission, but the fourth game overall, I think.
Fourth game that we played, right? So something that you sometimes forget, because a lot of modern skirmish games are perhaps better without you necessarily realizing, in the way that they divide up the turn and the way that the models interact, of getting rid of the problem that if you roll back 20 years and you played a skirmish game, you just had a big blob of models in the middle and you just rolled millions of dice until everyone was dead. And that is exactly what kept happening to us in SPQR. We played a few games of SPQR, and the game system, it really breaks down when you get in a kind of multi-melee. It's not that the rules don't work, it's that it just stops being fun. Right. Because every time I get two actions in a turn, and every time I attack, you fight back, and both of us have got re-rolls on our defenses. And so I attack you twice, then you attack me twice. And in all of that time, maybe only 4 models have been removed. Lots of dice have been thrown. Kind of keep track of where it's all going. It's like, I've stopped. I'm not doing any tactics now. We're just rolling dice until we get a result.
Yep. That's what it became.
Got a fallback system that you just get butchered if you fall back, so you just don't do it, you know. And I'd forgotten that that's how a lot of skirmish games used to play out. What they've done with more modern games is they tend to be much more lethal. So when you get that situation, it doesn't bog down; it becomes a bloodbath very quickly. Whereas what you had in SPQR was just the clash of spear on shield and eternal dice rolling to get a result.
Mortal Gods literally has an automatic pushback system. Like, you lose a combat, you go back an inch, and then you're free to do whatever the hell you like from that point onwards. So it's very quick and easy and quite lethal as well. And
this game doesn't have that. So it was an interesting one, and all I would say is that it's not a huge criticism of the game per se, because I think that is a common problem to a lot of skirmish games. Skirmish games that rely heavily on shooting, that's not a problem because you don't really need to move closer in the same way. But where all you've got is fighting, and you need to think carefully and hard about the scenario before you're playing and how this game plays out about whether you want to let that happen. Because there's ways of dealing with it by sticking objectives at opposite ends of the table, putting a ravine in the middle or whatever. But I think you do need to think with SPQR in particular, if both sides have heavy infantry, it's very low lethality, very high survivability. You need to not let it just become.
You got 0. It's like shooting a bolt gun with 0 AP, and your opponent has got power armor, which he can reroll. Literally, it's that 3's up rerollable saves with no armor penetration against it. So you just.
It's a 2-up save.
It's awesome.
It's equivalent.
It's awesome. It's awesome that you get 2 activations, but as kind of said, it just means you get to do that twice. You get to mill each other twice.
Yeah,
I think. What we were lacking and are lacking so far is heroes. Heroes make a big difference.
Heroes much more choppy.
That's where the lethality comes from.
Okay.
And I think that's where, as Kaiser pointed out to me, he's like, I think this is where we need to be going. It's about heroes. Get the heroes, and then this game is something completely different.
It does seem odd to me that you have a game where if you buy the box and you play it out of the box, you have to fix it before you can play it. Like if you're having to slow down and think, I can do this to stop this thing from happening, that automatically happens every time you try to play the game. It's a bit of an.
We've only had to fix it due to preference. I'm sure there's many people out there that love just milling away until somebody gets knocked out. I'm sure there are people that enjoy that. It's just we had to fix it because that's not what we were enjoying about it at all.
And to be fair, in the box you get 20 Romans and you get 52 Celts, of which maybe 10 of them are wearing chainmail. But we put these guys are wearing chainmail. They've got the spears, which gives you a -1 to hit me. By the way, so when I was saying about like the defensive powers are much. It's not that they're stronger; it's that they're more available in the army lists. A spear is an easy weapon to get a hold of, and that gives your opponent -1 to hit, which again reduces it because of the reach thing.
And they're more expensive. So therefore, less models to paint before we can get it on the table.
Yes,
we went down that route of like, I built a Gallic army, which wasn't a load of naked dudes with swords. it was a load of armored dudes with spears clashed into the Romans. Like, oh, nothing's happening here for ages. But you definitely don't have to build that army out of the box. And actually, I think you'd have a more interesting game going with the much higher model count on the Gallic side. Which was just how we did, so that was that with the SPQR. What have we got? I thought IDICBeer was like an 11-year-old girl.
Necrons.
That would be
right. The daughter.
I'm guessing your daughter isn't 11 anymore, Nick.
She's 13 next week.
She's 13 next week, right?
Yep.
And she still likes Necrons. Because her dad tells her to.
Exactly.
So, sorry, I will show you one more because this one confused the heck out of me, and I wonder how smart the people in this room can say That's not it.
Chrysler dominated the conversation. He always does.
Oh,
What we got? Roman.
we've got a Roman.
Yeah,
No,
it's a Roman.
it's
I think
not.
that was
That's
the
not-
intended picture.
That's the edited one. She sent me a load of pictures of Romans, which she'd done, and I'm looking at them, and they all look wrong, and I couldn't tell you why. And it finally dawned on me after about a week of going back to these, because I wanted her to. She said, you know, you want any changes or whatever, and it's like they don't look right. I don't know what it is, but they don't quite look right. If they're holding their weapons wrong, I said, yeah, they're all holding their shield in their right hand. That's what's the problem. Because she just mirror imaged them for the opposite side. I was like, I couldn't see what was wrong with it for quite a long time. It's like every single one of these Romans is left-handed. That's not normal.
Yeah.
Because it looks better on the right-hand side facing in terms of the composition of the model that she was drawing.
And Romans
But
were
it-
never left-handed; they were always right-handed. Even
Exactly.
if they were left-handed.
That's really guys are dominating the conversation. Sorry, mate. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's one of them things that I do, I guess. So where have we got up to with the hobby, then, gentlemen? I have got as far as clipping out the bits.
The usual.
Yeah, John.
That's good. I have completed one magical green turd with a tree in it, and
Never
I'm
to be seen
starting
again.
and almost finished a second green turd hedge. You will see them on eBay sometime soon.
Because they are not going on my YouTube channel. That's a
No.
fact.
Just looking at them is extremely concerning. I've done a bit of edge highlighting. That's all
Yeah.
I've done all evening.
Does it not make you want to eat a mint kebab or something?
No, it's the final result of a mint kebab. It's much worse than that.
it's the tomorrow nature of the mint kebab.
Rude fact, but somebody commented. So Nick he felt compelled to turn the telly off, so we couldn't get the final results of the England game. But I have been informed in the comments that we won 1-0. Woo!
Yeah, somebody did say that.
I just didn't want to get you demonetized for having the telly on in the background.
Oh,
Well done, everyone. Go sports team.
That's John's missus' response to John's hedge, I think.
Oh, boo! I don't get any support from the missus. You mean I love everything I do.
It's how they floated by. Oh dear me. Right. What we have got coming up on Friday, if you haven't seen, we've got a bolt action video. We get the Farmyard Animals out again, one of John's favorites.
Hey.
We've got the Orwellian. It does not feature that turd. Battle of the Cowshed. I don't know if you've seen that. So this was some. I mean, I don't know. Some people might not like this. Hard for me to know.
This is, very strange game.
This is a blue on blue game, isn't it, John?
It's blue on blue. Yes, indeed it is.
Yeah. Do you want to tell them about it, John?
It's all Smurfs. I'm very confused.
It's approaching Christmas, I think we said, and you know we're there. The British have met up with some Yankee doodles, thinking about getting some meat for the mess hall. It's got to come from somewhere, right? But there's a little bit of competition, you know. The Brits want to bring home the bacon, as it were, and the Yanks want to bring home some chicken. So we're going to have a little ruckus over it. That's what we're going to do.
So we've got two camps of British. There's a British squad and an American squad starting in kind of the back of the board, which is another one of these things. Like when you set out the board and you think about the mission, that seems great. After we'd finished it, we realized that half of the game was furthest away from the main camera.
Yeah,
and that's like one of these that's still not adjusted to what played. But basically, there's some farmyard animals scattered around the board, and we rush out, try and collect them, and bring them back to the base. But obviously, we can't shoot each other. We're both allies. But there was a fair few teeth knocked out. We did this melee combat. Give me that chicken! Boof! But we also, just to make it interesting, we gave the animals not only different victory points. Clearly, pigs more victory points than a vegetable, right? is we also gave some of the animals characteristics. So the geese were aggressive, for example, and so were the pigs, I think. So yeah, not all of the animals were willing to come with. And I think at one point, didn't you fire a bren at a chicken?
It was
so that I couldn't capture it.
There was a lot of leeway in this game, and he was getting dangerously close to having a hell of a lot more VPs than me. So I thought, well, hang on, I can't shoot him, but I can shoot the cow, right?
Yeah. So
hashtag give us back our squats. I own the one squat that's been released in the last 20 years, so you might see it eventually. The Necromancer Squat.
Oh, you bought the resin one from Forge World?
Yeah, I've had it for a while.
All right. So Nick, what should people be expecting from you over the coming weeks? Is there anything? You've been doing a lot of coverage with the shorts, for example. I've noticed you've been trying out the format.
I've done shorts. I mainly did that because I was moving house and I needed to keep the channel going and do some quick content. But also, there's potential new audience out there with shorts. So I thought I'd have a go. So I'm trying to do one short every week, one long video every week, and a live stream now and again. So this Monday just gone, I had a giveaway. I've got a giveaway on my channel at the moment where you can win some 3D Necron bases. So if you haven't checked that out, it's worth checking out. I've got a battle report coming up soon. Necrons versus Space Wolves, and a painting tutorial on painting the Necron Doomstalkers, which is the project which I've literally just finished. So painted 3 of them in one go. So yeah,
very nice. Well, we'll put you on a big screen, Nick, and you can remind people where they can find you again and so forth before you go.
Yeah, well, hopefully there'll be a link in the description below for my channel. So yeah, IDICBeer 40K. Just search that and you will find it.
There you go. And the Facebook group?
Wargamers Unification. So again, you'll find that in the link below, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah, I'll deal with that. Yeah. Nick did tell me that I'd spelt his name wrong in the description. And I was like, fix it. I did do. So last couple of minutes, you've been playing Necrons since the early. I've seen in your collection, so you've got some very old models that you still use. Why you prefer them, or you just like the idea of being able to club your opponent to death with a big lump of metal, beating you. Some of those old kits are quite big and bulky, aren't they? A
lot of them are sort of metal based, so they're pretty heavy. I mean, the main reason I use them is, yes, I do like them, but also I can use them. So why go out and buy all the new models when I've already got them to play? And there's something about old school models that I just enjoy as well. So I think a good mixture.
Yeah, the flatter the pose, the better for Jonathan.
I remember White Dwarf number 217 with the free Necron Raider. I got that when I was a young'un. We had about 3 of them in the house. It was a good one.
Necron Raider.
Yeah, that's what they were.
So is 9th edition everything the Necrons would want, and not just in terms of they've had a lot of genuinely new models rather than just updated models, which is a great thing. The range is extended considerably. You've got your mega boss, the return of the Silent King, and with that there's actually been some development of the Necron story. Do they do all right? Do they fight well? Because they've really struggled. I only came back to Warhammer in the last edition, and they really struggled because you could put a whole unit down, and therefore all of the capability in that unit, all of that resurrection stuff, it's all wasted. You just had to focus fire the units.
Yeah, I mean, they've tried to resolve that issue, and it's slightly better. But I don't tend to play Necrons around the RP. I always see that as like a bonus. I think if you try to rely on that too much, it limits you in your list building. So I sort of almost ignore it. It's like it's there. If you get it, then great. But certainly don't rely on it. But we definitely have more options now. So we've got better heavy support options, which at one point we only had basically the Doomsday arcs. Every list had 2 or 3 Doomsday arcs. So now you've got the Doomstalkers and the Doomsday arcs. So that's good to see. Obviously, destroyers took quite a big hit in the new edition, but it comes and goes. Units come and go, so I'm sure they'll be back at some point. So I certainly didn't rush out and sell all my destroyers on eBay.
They'll be back.
Yeah. I think that the missions are pretty good, though. The way GW have done the missions and how they are adapting them as we go along, because obviously there is a bit of a codex creep. But yeah, the missions certainly are helping to even the battlefield. I think being able to take those secondary objectives, depending on who you're playing, is very useful, and it just means that even against armies that maybe you don't have such a good chance against, you can at least edge your bets a little bit more with those secondaries.
Okay. I am not going to take you up on that topic because we've talked about it a lot before, and I utterly hate the new mission structure. Your mileage may vary, and that I'm a massive believer in it's important that you can enjoy the game you want to enjoy it and so forth.
There's a lot more bookkeeping, that's for sure.
If you're trying to win a competitive game, the new rules are good for you. If you're just trying to play a game, they're a bit less good for you.
I mean, I think also we play lots of games, whereas if Warhammer is your principal game, because it's not even our principal game, is really. I think if you had to say what's your principal game, probably Bolt Action is the one we play the most. But if you were to add Flames of War and Team Yankee together, we probably played more of that set these days. So it's
even writing a list is much more difficult now because like you have to take the units that you want and obviously work out all of the detachments that you're going to take, and then say, okay, now I need to work out what dynasty I'm going to have. Who's going to be my warlord? What warlord trait am I going to have? Or what relic am I going to have? And there's a lot more to even just basic list building now.
Yeah. So one of the things that I would be really, really interested to see is 40k light, and I can tell you what it looks like broadly speaking, which is that it has a much simpler mission structure, like the book missions in 8th edition. It is a point system that's more like the power level system. I'm not saying that either of these things are perfect, but something like that. And it had stripped out some of those extra layers of rules. I don't know, the tactical doctrines for the Space Marines, some of the chapter tactics. The thing is that all of those things give lots of flavor and lots of variety, so that my Space Marine is different to your Space Marine, and that a Vanguard veteran is different to a Tyranid War veteran. But I don't play it enough to care. This is really the thing. I'm happy for my different units to be different models with the same stats. I'm happy for, I don't know, Logan the Radnob, Viking Lord of the Fenris, to have exactly the same stats as any other Wolf Lord. He doesn't need he doesn't need a unique ability. And I'd like to see a pared down version of 40k. But the problem is that you need to know the rules, all of those extra things in great detail to know which ones you can strip out without messing with the balance massively.
Yeah.
It's a big piece of work to do that.
It's a bit fun at the moment that I'm kind of thinking that the way that we'd make this game simpler was by going back to 7th edition.
Or 6th or 5th or 4th. I mean, it gets simpler as you go back, right? I don't know whether...
Not really, no. 8th was...
I
reckon 8th was the simplest.
The beginning of 8th edition with the index.
The very beginning, yeah.
Yeah, I think
8th was probably the simplest, but I do think 9th is the most balanced that we've probably had at the moment.
Long time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, do you know what? It was 4 minutes into extra time here.
Yeah.
I got turds to build. Come on.
You've got turds to build. All right, Nick, it's been great having you here. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Check out the footage. Even if you don't like Bolt Action, what's coming out on Friday isn't really a game of Bolt Action.
fun.
It's people fighting chickens for an evening meal that's loosely based on a bolt action system with World War II models. I hope you enjoy it. It's been a real pleasure having you here, and thank you for watching, guys.
Thank you, Nick.
Bye-bye.
Bye.